The Priestess and the Runaway Heart. A Golden Cage. Jeffery Okoye was the only son of one of the wealthiest families in the bustling city of Lagos. His father, Chief Nduka Okoye, and his mother, Lady Clara, were tycoons in oil and telecommunications. From childhood, Jeffery had everything he could ever ask for, except freedom. At 18, he was already being shaped to take over the family empire. But what pushed him to the edge was not just the pressure of legacy, but a marriage that had already been planned without his consent. Jesica Adigwe, the daughter of Chief Okoye's business partner, was to be his bride. They both attended Queen's Heights International School, the most prestigious high school in the city. Jesica was stunning, intelligent, and came from power. But beneath her beauty was a girl filled with arrogance, entitlement, and a sharp tongue that spared no one. Everyone feared her. Jeffery tolerated her. Jesica, however, was obsessed with Jeffery. In her eyes, he was already hers. She constantly reminded their classmates, their teachers, even Jeffery himself, that they were as good as married. What she didn't know was that Jeffrey's heart was chained by duty, not affection. A desperate escape. The night before graduation, Jeffery stood by the window of his school hostel, staring at the dark skies. He couldn't breathe. Tomorrow, they would all be celebrating, and shortly after, his parents would begin official arrangements for his engagement to Jesica. No, he whispered to himself. I have to get out. Tonight. With a bag packed with only essentials, Jeffery slipped out of the hostel under cover of darkness, took the first bus he could find, and rode for hours into the unknown, no plan, no destination, just away. As the last bus dropped him on a dusty, winding road surrounded by thick forest, the time read 7:26 p.m. The sky was darkening, and the chirps of night creatures echoed around him. He was tired, hungry, and had no clue where he was. That was when he saw her. Chichi, the priestess standing barefoot in the middle of the road, dressed in flowing white native attire, with a beaded staff in hand, was a girl no older than him, but her presence was ageless. Her name was Chichi, the priestess of Umuama, a sacred village hidden away from modern eyes. Jeffery stopped in awe. The moonlight seemed to dance on her dark skin, and her eyes large, calm, and deep like a river held him in place. You are far from home, she said softly, her voice like wind through the trees. I ran away, he admitted. I need shelter. Just for tonight. Chichi studied him for a moment. Though raised in the traditions of the ancestors, she felt something stir inside her, something new and unfamiliar. A kind of softness. A pull toward the boy before her. Without another word, she turned and walked away. Jeffery hesitated, then followed. A hidden world. Umuama was a village unlike any Jeffery had ever imagined. It was untouched by time, where traditions still lived and spirits were respected. Chichi lived in a small clay house near the shrine, surrounded by herbs, carvings, and ancestral relics. Though she was the priestess chosen from birth, she had lived a life of discipline, service, and solitude. She had never known love. But something about Jeffery awakened something in her and in him. The silence of the village and the kindness in Chichi's eyes gave him the peace he had never felt in the city. Days turned into weeks. Jeffery helped in the village, learned the customs, and spent long evenings sitting with Chichi under the moonlight, listening to her stories. And slowly they fell in love. But peace never lasts forever. The storm approaches. Back in Lagos, Jesica was furious. Jeffrey's disappearance on the night of graduation had humiliated her. Her parents were livid, and Chief Okoye had sent private investigators across the state. It wasn't just love now. It was business. A lot of money and reputation was at stake. Jesica swore, wherever he is, I will find him. And he will be mine. But Jeffery was no longer the boy they knew. He had found something in Umuama that no money could buy: love, peace, and purpose. And with Chichi by his side, the boy who ran away from a golden cage might soon become the man who would fight to protect the sacred, ancient love he had found. She would not live without a fight. But Chichi was torn. She was not allowed to fall in love. Her soul belonged to the gods. And now, her heart belonged to Jeffery. To break the oath of the priestess could mean death. For her, and for him. One night, as they sat beneath the ancient Iroko tree, Jeffery turned to her and asked, "Do you ever wish you weren't chosen?" Chichi looked away, her eyes distant. "Sometimes," she admitted. "But the gods chose me before I could even speak. My life belongs to the people, not to me." Jeffrey's heart ached. "What if I want to give you a life that's yours?" She turned to him, her voice low. "And what if the gods don't approve?" For the first time in her life, Chichi feared something deeper than a spiritual curse. She feared losing Jeffery. Shadows from the city. Back in Lagos, Jesica had finally traced a lead. A fuel attendant at a rural filling station had reported seeing a soft city boy asking for directions to Umuama. "That fool," Jesica sneered. "Hiding in a bush with some villagers. Probably trying to shame me." She packed her designer bags, got into her father's SUV with 2 bodyguards, and began the journey. This wasn't about love anymore. It was about possession. And Jesica never lost what she claimed. Warning from the spirits. That same night, Chichi had a vision. The flames in her shrine danced unusually high as she knelt in prayer. The drums of the ancestors echoed in her ears, though no one was playing. Her body trembled as the spirit of the river goddess, Isnoni Mary, spoke through her. "The girl of fire is coming. She carries poison in her lips and darkness in her heart. She will bring ruin unless the boy returns to his path, or is lost forever." Chichi awoke sweating. The vision was clear, Jesica was coming, and she would not live without a fight. But Chichi was torn. She was not allowed to fall in love. Her soul belonged to the gods. And now, her heart belonged to Jeffery. To break the oath of the priestess could mean death. For her, and for him. The confrontation. 2 days later, Jessica's convoy rode into the village like thunder. The elders stared in confusion and alarm. No outsider had entered Umuama in over 20 years without invitation. Jeffery was washing clothes by the stream when he heard the engine sound, and then saw her. Jesica stepped out in heels that sank into the red soil, her sunglasses gleaming. "Jeffery," she shouted. His heart dropped. "Jesica," he said quietly, standing. "Get in the car. Now." He didn't move. Behind him, Chichi approached slowly, dressed in her white robes, eyes steady, staff in hand. Jesica turned to her and laughed coldly. "Who is this village witch?" "I am Chichi, priestess of Umuama," she said calmly. "You are not welcome here." Jesica rolled her eyes. "Oh please. He belongs to me. We are betrothed." Jeffery stepped forward. "I'm not going with you." Jessica's expression darkened. "If you stay with her, your life is over. You'll have nothing. You'll be no one." Jeffery looked at Chichi, the girl who gave him peace, purpose, and love. Then back at Jesica, the symbol of everything he escaped. "I'd rather be no one in her world than a prisoner in yours." Jessica's eyes filled with rage. She raised her hand, and one of the guards stepped forward toward Chichi. Before he could touch her, a blinding light erupted from Chichi's staff. The guard fell back, screaming, his hand burned. The air changed. The spirits had awakened. "Easy." The voice came again. "Do you wish to leave your calling?" The river inside. The shrine was silent except for the soft hiss of the incense smoke curling into the rafters. Chichi knelt before the altar, her white robes pulled like still water around her. Her staff lay across her knees, heavy not with weight, but with meaning. Outside, the village stirred, faint drums in the distance, the laughter of children, the hum of life. And yet, she felt a growing quiet inside her, a cavern that love could not quite fill, and duty could not quite seal. She thought of Jeffery. The way his hands trembled the first time he brought water to her, unaware that she had been watching from the shadows. The way he listened, not just with his ears, but with the deepest part of himself. The way he saw her, not as the priestess, not as a vessel for ancient power, but as Chichi. And still, the gods had chosen her. She rose slowly and walked outside, the dusklight golden on her skin. Her bare feet brushed the earth as she moved toward the sacred fig tree, where generations of priestesses had come to pray when the answers would not come. There, she sat. And waited. Hours passed. Night fell. Then, a breeze stirred the leaves, and a faint voice, not heard with ears, but felt in her bones, whispered. Child of light, what is it you seek? She did not speak. Her throat closed with the weight of all she could not say. She felt the tears finally break loose. I don't know what I wish, she whispered into the darkness. I only know I love him. And I know that loving him feels like a betrayal. To you. To the spirits. To myself. Silence. Then, the wind shifted. The tree branches danced. And the voice, ancient and sorrowful, answered. You believe love and destiny are separate things. But what if they were one? She opened her eyes. What do you mean? No answer came. Only the rustle of leaves. Only her heartbeat. Later that night, Jeffery found her still beneath the tree. You didn't come back, he said gently, crouching beside her. I couldn't, she replied. They sat together in silence. Then she turned to him. If I choose you, she said, I might lose everything I've been called to be. And if you don't, he asked. She looked at him, pain in her eyes. Then I lose you. He took her hand, calloused, warm. Whatever you choose. I will never hate you for choosing your truth. Her voice cracked. Even if that truth breaks us. Jeffery nodded. Especially then. She leaned into him, forehead to his chest, and for a moment, there was nothing but the sound of breath and stars. Back in the shrine, Naudo lit a single candle and whispered into the darkness. The gods do not fear love. But they do test it. He turned to the shadows behind him. Jesica stood there, her city clothes now cloaked in something older, something darker. Let them choose, she said, her voice like a knife. Then let the choosing begin, he answered, blowing out the flame. Absolutely. Here's the next chapter, diving deeper into Chichi's soul and her struggle as the village and the gods await her decision. The crossroads of spirit and heart. Morning light spilled over Umuama, gilding the red earth with a fragile warmth. Birds sang, unaware of the turmoil rippling through the village. Chichi rose before dawn, feeling the weight of the day press against her chest like a stone. Today was the day of the choosing, a ceremony whispered about by the elders, one that would reveal her path to all. She dressed in ceremonial robes, woven with threads of white and gold, symbols of purity and power. Her staff, carved from ancient fig wood, was in her grip, a familiar and yet suddenly foreign extension of herself. The villagers gathered in the clearing near the river, men, women, children, all eyes heavy with expectation. Jeffery stood at the edge, his hand gripping a small woven charm she had made for him, a reminder of the quiet moments they shared. Naudo stepped forward, his voice steady but tinged with age. Today, Chichi stands at the crossroads. To choose the gods or the heart is to choose a destiny that will shape all of Umuama. Chichi's gaze drifted to Jesica, who watched from the shadows, her posture rigid, her eyes burning with silent fury. Taking a deep breath, Chichi lifted her staff. The gods demanded a sign, a vision or a miracle that would seal her choice. She closed her eyes and summoned the ancient prayers taught by her mother's mother before her. The air thickened. The sky seemed to hold its breath. The forest was thick with mist and tension as Chichi and Jeffery, flanked by a small group of brave villagers, stepped cautiously toward Jesica's chosen ground, a clearing twisted with dark energy and broken branches. Jesica waited, her eyes fierce, the air around her crackling with unnatural power. "Jesica," Chichi called softly, gripping her staff. "This isn't the way. You can still choose peace." Jesica laughed, but it was hollow. "Peace? I lost everything to love and tradition. You think I'll stand by while you rewrite the rules? This village belongs to the gods, not your heart." Jeffery stepped forward, voice steady. "This village belongs to its people. We don't have to live in fear." The air snapped. Jesica's dark magic surged, a storm of shadows lashing toward them. Chichi raised her staff, and light burst forth, pure, radiant, a river of power born from love and faith entwined. The clash was fierce. Shadows battled light, and the earth trembled beneath their feet. Then, in a moment of stillness, Chichi spoke to Jesica, not with anger, but with understanding. "I know your pain. But this darkness will only consume you." Jessica's magic faltered, her face crumbling with sorrow. Chichi stepped forward, extending a hand. "Come back. Let us heal together." For a long breath, Jesica hesitated. Then, tears streaming, she grasped Chichi's hand. The village slowly healed. The river flowed free, the crops grew lush, and the air lightened. Chichi remained priestess, but not bound by old chains. Her love for Jeffery became a new kind of sacred truth, inspiring the village to embrace change with reverence. Jesica stayed, walking alongside them, her dark past a reminder of what fear and pain can do, but also of the power of forgiveness. Under the fig tree, where ancestors once whispered alone, now stood a circle of light, love and destiny intertwined, forever guiding Umuama's future. This is the end. Epilogue, Seeds of Tomorrow. Years had passed since the storm of shadow and light. Umuama had changed, not in shape, but in spirit. Children now played beneath the sacred fig tree, their laughter mingling with the gentle hum of the river. The village elders spoke openly of the time when love challenged tradition, and how that moment shaped their future. Chichi and Jeffery stood together at the heart of the village, their hands entwined, faces lined with both joy and the quiet wisdom of trials overcome. Beside them, Jesica tended a small garden, her eyes soft but strong, a testament to healing and the power of second chances. The shrine no longer demanded sacrifice or separation. Instead, it welcomed the union of heart and duty, a living symbol of balance. Udo's voice echoed in memory, "The gods do not fear love. But they do test it." And Umuama, vibrant and alive, carried that lesson in every whispered prayer, every blooming flower, every heartbeat. Final touch. The story ends not with an ending, but with a beginning, a reminder that love, like the river, flows through every choice we make, carving new paths, nourishing the soul, and transforming the world in ways both seen and unseen.